September 13th, 20. Okay, I can restart. Good evening. My name is George O'Neill, Chair for the Thompson Inland Wetlands Commission. I'm calling the September 13th, 2022 meeting of the Inland Wetlands Commission in order at 7 p.m. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, this meeting is being held electronically using a teleconferencing platform called Zoom. So we're operating under the following procedures. This session is being recorded both for audio and visual content, and then under the control of a Zoom host. I believe it's Amy this evening. To ensure sound quality, the default rule for this meeting is that everyone will remain on mute. Commissioners and staff will generally remain on mute except when speaking or voting, and will generally be keeping video of themselves on throughout the meeting. Applicants and members of the public should feel free to leave their video on or off. However, they will be asked to turn on the video when speaking. If video is not available for you, you will not be precluded from speaking at the appropriate time and may listen in to the meeting. During the meeting, everyone is asked to state their name each and every time they speak. Please use the raise your hand feature, which is part of Zoom, to let me or the host of the meeting know you want to speak. Members of the public may only speak during the portion of the agenda established for citizens' comments on agenda items. And there are two sections, in case you weren't aware of it, one in the beginning and one towards the end. For individuals representing applicants, permittees, and violators listed in the agenda and their representatives, if you are speaking at this meeting and have a document to submit to the commission which was not distributed in advance of the meeting with the rest of the materials, please indicate that you wish to submit the document. You will need to hold it up to the camera so that the commission and all members of the public may view it. In addition, you'll be required to email it an electronic version of the document in PDF format, or take a photo, which would be a PNG or other format of it, and email it to the wetlands agent at the email address wetlands@thompsonct.org. Marla will include it in the permanent record of the commission. If a member of the public tries to communicate outside of the citizens' comments on the agenda items portion of the meeting, or if any person creates an audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected by the Zoom host from the meeting upon my request. So it's now time to call the roll. I'll just call by Commissioner. Commissioner Obert. You're
Please,
muted.
I'm present.
Present. Commissioner Chapin. Commissioner Morano.
Present.
George O'Neill, Chair, present. So we are missing only one commissioner. We have a quorum. Moving on to the agenda items, there are no alternates to appoint. Action on minutes of the previous meetings, the minutes of August 9th, 2022. The commissioners reviewed those minutes, and are there any modifications or revisions?
I didn't see anything that seemed incorrect.
Commissioner Morano?
It looks fine to me.
All right, hearing no objections to the minutes, they will stand as recorded and posted. Second item, fourth item would be citizens' comments on agenda items, and the agenda was distributed. So this is the first opportunity for citizens of the town of Thompson and others to make comments. Is there anyone that would like to comment on any agenda item? Okay, well, okay, just for reference, there will be another opportunity later in the meeting if you do wish to comment. So we'll move on. Applications, old applications. First, I've got the agenda posted, available for you to review. Hold on. All right. WAA 22023, Brandon Stand, 42 Loggy Road, Assessors Map 141, Block 17, lots 184S, 184T, and 184U. 10 by 32 addition to a home on existing concrete slab. Demolish existing detached garage with new 24 by 24 detached garage. Construct 26 by 8 retaining wall, all within the 100-foot upland review area for aquatic reservoir. Stamped received on 8/2/22, issued 8/16/22. Legal notice published 8/26/22. End of appeal 9/3/22. I'll ask our inland wetlands agent to give us an update on this item. Marla?
Okay, so there was no appeal from the legal notice, but I would direct you to page 8 of the Zoom documents, which is the approval. And I put a condition on there. It says, within 6 months of completing the retaining wall authorized herein, an as-built plan shall be submitted to the Wetlands Office and Building Office, signed and sealed by a land surveyor licensed to practice in Connecticut, showing the location of property boundaries and all existing structures, the well, septic system, and existing grades at a contour interval no greater than 2 feet. If you scroll down to the next page is the drawing that I got. And what I was told by Mr. Stand was that he was going to build the proposed wall, which is fairly close to the lake, and there is no there's no current topography. So I was using MapGeo originally, and he said that he was going to have a survey done once the wall was built to verify where the location of the garage should be. Because if you'll notice on the drawing, the garage is not on the lot that he has leased from the Aquatic Campground, Inc. It's actually on other property of the Aquatic Campground. So I don't have any objection to him building a garage there from the standpoint of the lake, but I do want to have an as-built of whatever structures. I noticed from aerial photography that there were a number of structures on this property that had been there for a number of years that do not show on this drawing. So by getting a current drawing will help us in the future, should he decide to do further activities on the property. And there's
Okay.
no action required, and it's now a final document.
Thank you, Marla, for that update. I'll just scroll through the rest of the documents. Did I jump over it already?
Yep. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to page
There's no,
11.
there was no intro here on this one. That's 11. There it is. Okay, the next item is WAA 22022 in Acquisition Associates LLC, 286 Thompson Hill Road, Assessors Map 103, Block 40, Lot 2. Construct new single-family home with portion of driveway, septic system, and utilities in 100-foot upland review area. Stamped, received 7/25/22, approved 9/8/22, legal notice to be published 9/16/22, end of appeal period 10/1/22. Marla, would you give us a summary and status on this particular application?
If you recall, originally this started out as a complaint. Somebody was complaining that there was work occurring in wetlands, and I went out and looked. Apparently the underground, if you go to page 13 of the Zoom documents, you will, this was originally, the subdivision lot came through as a conceptual subdivision, splitting off from the Thompson Manor, this proposed house lot. And at the time they were planning on using, and they still are planning on using, the existing driveway to the Thompson Manor as access to the proposed house. But what they had done is they had installed the underground utility lines from the near where the driveway starts all the way to the end of Brookside Drive. All that work was not in wetlands, but some of it was in the upland review area. And as a result, they submitted an application to authorize the underground utilities, a portion of, tiny portion of the septic system and a portion of the driveway for the house. And that's what got approved. It's interesting to note that I was surprised that they didn't use a driveway from Brookside Drive, that they decided to use the common drive from that's used for Thompson Manor, but that's their choice because they weren't doing any work in wetlands or water courses, only a small amount of work in the upland review area. So I had no objection to it. And when I visited the site, there were no erosion and sediment control problems with the installation of the underground utilities. It was very clean operation. And they do have their NDDH approval. So I was holding off issuing that because of the NDDH approval. I was waiting for that. And now that once I got it, then I could issue this.
Okay, as noted here and is displayed on the screen, it was approved August 8th. Is it? Yeah, August 8th. All right, so there's no further action required by the commission on this item.
Correct.
All right, moving on to the next new applications. Number one, we have DEC 22025, Judy Rondo, 51 Quinnebog Road, Assessors Map 59, Block 67, Lot 4, Installation of a septic system for an existing residential home, stamped received on 9/1/22. So we have a application here. Marla, could
Yes,
you give
this
an
is a
update?
request for a use permitted as of right, maintenance and enjoyment of a residential home. Judy is on the Zoom meeting. Judy, if you recall, was the wetlands agent who was predecessor to me. And we talked about how she could get an approval for this septic system. So Judy, why don't you explain why you need a new septic system and where it's going? And I'll direct George to the drawings.
Right. And before we start,
George,
Judy,
go to page 18.
I will. Let's be sure to announce our 18. There we are.
Judy, your mic is muted.
Yep. Okay, we all set. Hi, good evening, everybody. Judy Rondo here. It's good to see you all. So I've put in this request to construct a septic system at my home. It is a 200-year-old house. It has never had a septic system. We do have a cesspool right now, but we're trying to take care of that problem by putting in a proper septic system so that our waste will be properly treated from here on out. The parcel was part of a older subdivision. It's a 1.1 acre parcel. It was cut out of a larger parcel. There is a band of wetlands that do go through the back of the property. So some of the work will be crossing this band of wetlands. You know, the pipe that goes from the tank to the leach field primarily.
May I interrupt you, Judy?
Absolutely.
George, go to page 21, please. This is an excerpt from the record subdivision drawing that Judy has put on the approximate location of the septic system. And the line crosses the wetlands, delineated wetlands.
Yeah. So so in the area, well, I guess first of all, what I should say is that whole area where the septic system is going, where the pipe is, that's all lawn area. It's not a functional wetland, if you will. If you looked at it, you wouldn't know that there was that band of wetlands that crosses there. In the area,
Judy, let me
yes,
interrupt you
yes,
again.
ma'am.
George, go to page 19. It shows an aerial photograph of the property.
Okay, let me find it here. 19.
Sorry, Judy.
That's fine.
All right, we got it.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to see. The clarity isn't great, but you can kind of make out that whole area is just lawn.
Right. So this is the orientation. You know, the map. Another version. Here's another version, right? So, all right.
So George, on page 22 is the design that's been approved by NEDH.
It's on. I put it on the screen. I see it. All right. You see it, Commissioner Obert?
Yeah, I have it on the download of the Zoom documents.
Okay. So are there any special issues to be that we should be made aware of, Marla?
Not that I can see. In fact, this is a significant improvement over having a cesspool. So given the fact that the wetlands have already been somewhat altered in being in lawn, they may or may not still be wetlands at this time, but the fact that it's replacing a system that's not really up to code, it should qualify as use permitted as of right under maintenance and enjoyment of a residential home.
Right. So,
And you would need to vote on this to decide if that's acceptable.
all right. So do I have a motion to?
I'll make a motion that we approve this plan as is presented and endorsed by the
Indeed,
Department of Health, so that they can rectify this situation and eliminate the,
As a use permitted as of right?
as a use permitted, as, I didn't mean to say eliminate the problem, but I did twice. As a use permitted as of right for the resident of the property.
Okay, so I have a motion. Do I
I'll
have a
second.
second?
I'll second.
All right, I have motion and second to approve as a use permitted by right. Discussion. Questions, concerns?
I don't know.
All right, if we have no discussion, then I'll ask commissioners to vote. Commissioner Over, favor?
Yes.
Or yes, Commissioner Morano?
Yes,
Commissioner O'Neill, yes. So there's unanimous vote in favor of approving the application as submitted as a use permitted as right. Congratulations, Ms.
Thank
Rondo.
you. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Moving on to the next item, we have WAA 22026, Jessica Gervais, 61 Lakeside Drive, Assessors Map 143, Block 16, Lot 57A. Construct 8x36 porch on existing home in 100-foot upland review area for aquatic reservoir. Stamped received 9/8/22 under review. Okay, and here's a number of documents that go with this and site plan. So, Marla, would you perhaps orient us to this, the materials we have?
So I would go to page 31 of the Zoom documents.
That's what you have.
And
Okay.
And this is this is an activity that I feel under when you revise the regulations, that the wetlands agent should be allowed to approve as a use permitted as of right under maintenance and enjoyment of residential home. Technically, it's construction in the upland review area, and so therefore it needed a wetlands agent approval. And they didn't really want to wait for the meeting. I actually issued the approval today. And so the legal notice won't go out into the newspaper until next Friday, not this coming Friday, but the Friday after that. Simply adding a porch onto an upland area with silt fence, there very little earth moving work at all. No proposed grading work, just some construction. And there should be no problem with this. So right now, there's no action required by the commission since I issued it today. And it'll go through the normal process of a legal notice and an appeal period. But I don't
Great.
expect an appeal.
Great. Thank you for the update. Commissioners, any questions from Marla regarding this in the wetlands agent approval for a, is looking at your outline, is that a deck, basically a porch?
Yes,
So it technically
yes,
is not
it's a
permanent.
porch.
It's like a temporary because it's no foundation to it, right? Or they're probably footings.
Most of these that have had decks on them, they're using sonotubes
Right.
to support them.
Right.
She didn't say exactly what the methodology of support would be for it. She only wrote that it's a 8x36 porch.
Right.
But it goes through the building office
Right.
also as a
Right.
building permit. She couldn't get a building permit until she had a wetlands
Okay.
agent approval.
Great. All right. Yeah. All right. So it's not with regards to the wetlands, it's not a permanent change really. The sonotubes would be cement. All right. Any other questions from any of the commissioners on this point? Oh, hearing none, let's move on to the next item. It is received after applications received after agenda was published. WAA 22027 Harry S. Joseph, 0 LaPierre Road, formerly 23 LaPierre Road. Assessors map 79, block 62, lot 47A. Construct 570-foot long driveway in the 100-foot upland review area for a new single-family home. Stamp received on 9/8/22 under review. So, what do we have here, Marla?
So unfortunately, I forgot to post the plan. It's a long driveway, and the property has little pockets of wetlands. This was property that was a much larger portion of land. And it's Mr. Yosef. He's the same gentleman who came in for the retail cannabis site on Riverside Drive, but he also purchased a large tract of land from Ron DeRocher. And on that, he wants to build his home. And as a consequence, you can see on page 38 of the Zoom documents, you can see where the location, the driveway generally is located as a red line in the center of the map. And let's see here. Somehow I lost you on my Zoom. There we go.
I've got 38 up. Yeah.
And he's basically at the top of the hill, and he's close to the top of the hill, and his driveway is running down slope to where he wants to build his house. And his septic system is located outside of any wetland or upland review area. And the driveway snakes between the wetlands at quite some distance. So I'm at this point planning on, I'm not going to require that a Northeast District Department of Health approval be required for the septic system because it's not involved with any upland review area. And there aren't any wetlands down slope that I could find for this property as it heads towards the French River. As a consequence, I'm most likely going to issue this tomorrow, and then it'll go through the same legal notice and appeal period. But it's not a big deal. It's a very long driveway, though. It's not a driveway I would want, but and he's not in a flood. He's not in a 100-year floodplain. He's up on the top of the hill. So there's really no environmental issues on this that I could find.
Okay. So no further action, no by this commission.
Is the driveway going to go all the way to Buckley Hill Road, or is it going to go off of Pompeo?
Pompeo, isn't it?
No, it comes off of LaPierre. LaPierre
Oh,
is a
there it is, right
little
there.
dead end road.
Like Ron
LaPierre
DeRoche's
comes
house
off
is
of
right here,
Pompeo.
isn't Ron
Yeah,
DeRoche's house?
Pompeo
just off of it?
runs north-south. And LaPierre is a little dead end road that pretty much dead ends at a house on other portion of the property. Which he has since acquiring the property he had a free split entitled to him. So he split off the house and sold it. And now he wants to build his own home and using this driveway as access to it down the slope a bit.
Wow, he figures to do better with recreational weed than he did with the pizza.
Well, take a risk. It's maybe worth it. All right, then. Any other questions or?
No action required.
All right. Any comments? No other comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item. Let me just move past this. Okay, we've got no changes. Violations. We have notice violation 21023 Jamie Pettit, 0 and 73 Center Street, Assessors Map 16, Block 10, lots H and 2. Unauthorized construction of retaining wall and associated backfill in or near Little Pond, issued 8/24/21, as built survey filed, record drawing 18/1825, closure pending IWC approval. Should that be block X or block 10? Well, in either case, there's
That's
a block
block
and
X.
block
That's
X. So I
Block
stand
X.
corrected.
Yep.
So it's block X for those that are listening in and didn't have it in front of you. So it's map 16, block X, lots H and 2. All right. Pending.
So on
IWC
page
approval.
43 is the actual drawing that was filed on the land records.
Right.
And the agreement was by the commission, if they filed this as-built drawing on the land records, that the commission would take no further action regarding the construction work that occurred in or near Little Pond. So at this juncture, I would like to have this violation file closed, that no further action, but I want your approval from that,
Okay, so we'll need a vote.
as you've indicated that
Make a motion.
you had
that we
already
close-
voted that this
Oh.
would be acceptable, but
Right.
I would like your concurrence for closing the violation file
Right.
now that it's been filed.
So, okay, so we'll have to reapply. I have a motion by Commissioner Obert. Do I have a second?
Yes, as of this date,
second.
we close the file.
All right, I have a motion to close the file, and I have a second from Commissioner Morano. All those, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing no objection, the matter is closed and the we'll proceed. It's approved. Let's move on to the next item. Notice of permit violation BIOL 21036, permit IWA 20022, Mark Bear, 1227 Thompson Road, Assessors Map 116, Block 24, Lot 10. Grades not as authorized in modified plan approved by the Commission on 2/9/21. Status. Do we have Mr. Bear present or his representative?
No, there wasn't a requirement for that. Right now, the commission has kind of got its enforcement action on hold pending continuing activities on the property, waiting for him to get to the point where he can develop an as-built drawing. So at the end of last meeting, there was no contact apparently with Mr. Bear and Patrick Wall to the extent that we understood what was going on with the underground galleries that were going to be placed for the roof runoffs,
Right.
as well as his connection to the well. And I had asked Mr. Bear to have his engineer get in touch with Mr. Wall to get the information as to where these galleries were going to be relocated to underground, because they needed to connect the well to the house, and he felt it necessitated moving some of the structures. So Daniel Blanchette was contacted by Mr. Bear to contact Mr. Wall. They had a little bit of back and forth, and he said he sent me an email today that said he spoke briefly with Pat Wall, that's the contractor, on 9/2 about relocating the concrete drainage structures. He writes, I sent him an email on 9/5 with a PDF of the latest approved site plan. Pat responded to my email and stated he would be on site on 9/7, and then he would email me a drawing with his suggested locations for drainage structures. Now another week has gone by and I haven't heard anything. He's hoping to stop by the site sometime soon because he's curious to see how the site looks after all the rain this week. I spoke to him after I got this email, and I told him that I didn't expect to see any erosion because the site is very bony and it's very gravelly. And if there had been some kind of erosion event, I'm sure the neighbors would have given me a call, and I've heard nothing. So at this juncture, I'll just keep in touch with Daniel Blanchette and Mr. Bear to see what's going on as we come up to the next month.
All right. Any questions for Marla regarding this from commissioners?
A quick question. I'm thinking that the runoff is still an issue, but it's not nearly as devastating to the lake and 5 Mile River as it would be if it was dragging mud downhill. So erosion is a factor of carrying the mud, right? It's
Well,
not
no,
just the
in
runoff.
this case, my concern is the drainage on the south side of the Bear property, draining onto the staircase and sidewalk of the Hager property next door. The original plan called for the drainage to remain on the Bear property, and the way the materials have been stockpiled on the property, it tends to force the water towards Mr. Hager's sidewalk. And my concern is in the wintertime, in order for Mr. Hager to use his sidewalk, he's going to have to salt it. And that salt will ultimately make its way down to the lake. So by making sure that any significant amount of runoff does not go to the Hager property, but remains on the Bear property, those grades have not yet been established. So until he gets farther along with finishing his walls, and I had an indication from Mr. Bear that not Mr. Bear, Daniel Blanchette, Pat Wall had claimed that the plan that the commission had approved, he could not be built with the grades that were there. And the original plan that the commission got showed no room underneath the driveway, underneath the garage. Well, there's now a room under the garage, and so the grades don't match up with what was originally approved. So it's likely there's going to be another retaining wall near the lower floor of the garage where the room is, to be able to provide the grades so that you can walk out. So because there was a change in the design that commission got and the engineer originally got to what is there now, it makes an as-built drawing even more important to know exactly what is in place. So I will keep contacting Daniel Blanchett and Mr. Bear regarding what the status is and what the timing and sequence of that, what their plan of construction is, how long they're going to take to finish this work up. It's already taken a lot longer. And I think the concerns of the residents around the lake is that as long as it's not finished, it looks ugly to them on the other side of the lake. And if you're on the other side of the lake, you can see it looks like a little eyesore.
All right. Any further questions for Marla on this? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the next violation. Notice of violation VIOL 22008 Rodney LeMay, Zero Aquatic Town Farm Road, Assessors Map 160, Block 11, Lot 15. Unauthorized clearing, cutting, and grading in wetlands issued by acting wetland agent 32122. Status.
So I'm going to wait until the leaves come off the trees so that I can better see what's going on, and I will be contacting the abutting property owner. Next to Mr. LeMay's property, or up in Mr. LeMay's property, the Boy Scout land, there was a fire last month, and I didn't get any indication that there was any significant amount of earth moving work. So this is not a rush, but it's still an open file because I just want to verify what's going on Mr. LeMay's property by gaining access from one of the other property owners.
Okay.
So it'll be a nice fall walk.
Okay. It's a nice day. Any questions for Marla on this point? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is other business, update on proposed revisions to the zoning regulations and subdivision regulations, which I believe were circulated to everyone here in advance.
Okay, so there were meetings that were held between in-house with staff to talk about the net buildable area and where there should be a net buildable area and where there didn't need to be one, and a request to include those in the zoning regulation update. And so that information has now been incorporated into a draft that's posted online. If you go to thompsonct.org, boards, commissions, and committees, planning and zoning commission, over on the left-hand side, you will see the proposed amendments for the 2022 zoning regulations update. And in there, it's not just the net buildable area that's being revised, but also there was a lot of concerns about agricultural activities on properties, people keeping animals of various types. And so they're making amendments there. I did not weigh in on those amendments. I will direct your attention, however, to in the beginning, if you've heard that it's been the position of the Planning and Zoning Commission and their staff that if the activity is not clearly identified in the regulations, then it is prohibited. But they're suggesting to add language that would allow them to say, well, if there was an unforeseen activity that we didn't include, well, now we may be able to include it. So I would suggest you take a look at that, because I don't really know how that's going to affect wetlands and watercourses and floodplains. It may not have any effect, but it's language that I just noticed yesterday when I was taking a look at the proposed amendments. I was checking to make sure that the net buildable area was cited in the zoning regs where it needed to be cited. And I went through it with Tira, and we did confirm that it now is in standard with what I had asked for. So I would suggest that commissioners take a look at the entire suggested changes. It's my understanding that this document has been posted for public comment, and that Tira is planning to have a public informational meeting to answer questions that people might have about the proposed changes. When that is to be scheduled, you'll have to stay looking at the Planning and Zoning Commission's minutes and agendas, and she's planning on she sent out on the webpage, it says attached are the proposed amendments presented in the same order as the current edition of the zoning regulations, the 10th edition amended to 28 February 22. New additions are indicated in red bold-faced text. Deletions are indicated in red strike-through text. In a limited number of instances, some marginal notes are included to add context to the suggested changes. The public is encouraged to provide written comment via email to be read into the record during the public hearing to adopt changes. It says, please email comments to planner@thompsonct.org with the subject line, comments for public hearing, 2022 zoning regulations update. Public comments will be acknowledged when received. An informal Q&A session for the purpose of answering any residents' questions will be scheduled ahead of the public hearing. To date of the informal Q&A session is to be determined at this time. So they don't have a date specifically for that yet, but that will come obviously before they have a public hearing. And it's my understanding that it will be at the next planning and zoning meeting that they will talk about setting up a public hearing date for these zoning reg changes. Regarding the subdivision regulation amendments have been placed on hold. First, because they needed to get the standards for road construction, which J&D Civil Engineering is drafting up language for that. So that the subdivision regulations are on hold at this time, pending receipt of the appendices regarding road construction and driveway construction. And when that comes through, then I'll take another look at it to see what the final language is that's coming out of that. And that's the update.
Okay.
Marla, what section do we find the buildable area, Greg? I'm looking at I think I have the right link.
It's referenced in every single district. When it talks about lot size, it then talks about must have a net buildable area of, and typically it's 15,000 square feet. So it's also being proposed for the Lake District. Now, the Lake District currently has a lot size of 4,500 square feet, providing you can meet health code requirements for setbacks. With net buildable area being placed into it, that means they really have to look at changing the lot size, because a 4,500 square foot lot will not have 15,000 square feet of net buildable area. So in actuality, they would be increasing the lot size in the Lake Districts to 15,000 square feet. And of that 15,000 square feet, those lots have to have at least that much in order to build on it. That's because at the south end of Little Pond and on a portion of Quadic Reservoir, there are large parcels of land that may be subject to further subdivision. And I was concerned that those lands had too much wetlands on them, and that we'd end up having a lot of applications coming before the Inland Wetlands Commission to authorize lots that have way too much wetlands on it, and people would be wanting to fill wetlands. So this prevents that from happening. If you have to have a net buildable area of at least 15,000 square feet, that's big enough to get a septic and a well and a house of a decent size with a driveway and parking for 2 cars and a little bit of a yard. All the other zones, there's 2 other zones that don't have any net buildable area. The community area, which is up on the hill, and there isn't any for the Thompson Village, historic village, Thompson Hill, because Thompson Hill doesn't have really many wetlands on it at all. And so I don't expect there to be any problem when subdivisions come in, having too much wetlands on a lot that require those wetlands to be filled.
But
Because there's just not that many wetlands in the historic area.
yeah, where the people from Lord Thompson Manor want to build is on the fringe of Thompson Hill, and we had that other guy that gave us all the problems. He's passed away now. But you're right, there's not much up here. Okay.
So those are the
Well,
2 zones.
I'm looking at the first draft with revised subdivision, so I'll read through it again. I see all the changes. Thank you. Thank you for your help on this.
Right, Marla really dug into it, and I think a lot of the initiatives and recommendations you made were certainly incorporated to certainly the size elements. Okay, so that was other business. Moving on to the next item is citizens' comments on agenda items. Any citizens' comments? I see we have at least one citizen. Any comments?
Valerie Clark.
Yes.
First of all, I want to say that I'm very pleased that Marla's recommendations for net buildable area made it into the proposed revisions. I appreciate all of her work on that. And then just regarding Marla's concern that she raised about the language that's being added to the section regarding the permissive model, as they refer to it. I was at the 9/8 meeting where the P&Z talked about moving that or copying that language. From what I understood from the meeting, that those additions to the permissive model description were copied from other existing sections of the current regulations that went in the 2020. So I don't know that that's true, but that was how it was presented during the 9/8 meeting.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say.
Great, thank you, Ms. Clark. Any other citizens' comments? Okay, hearing none. I'm sorry, Commissioner Obert, you're on mute. Still on mute.
My apologies. Ms. Clark,
Oh.
to that comment.
This shouldn't be a Q&A, Commissioner. Unless you'd like to have commissioners' comments, maybe you want to restrain your comments until then.
Okay.
No worries. Thank you. Next item is reports. Budget expenditures.
Marla Beth speaking. I'll report for Diane Chapin. So of the total $23,766 that's available in the budget, 13% has been used. And most of that is associated with my salary, and the next is with the recording secretary's salary. Very little has been spent out of that, but we did encumber the $200 for a locking cabinet. Those expenditures don't show up until they're actually applied for, but it has been encumbered. And that's all there is really at this point in time.
Okay.
Most of the expenditures, most of the expenditures other than that are just for legal notices.
All right, thank you, Marla. As far as also the wetlands agent report.
Okay, so on updates, there's been some progress on the MS4 contracts, and I hope to get the fiscal year 22-23 allocated in the next month. There's been no progress made on the MS4 annual report, which now will be for 3 years, or on the drafting of the Inland Wetlands Commission regulation amendments or on records disposal. As winter approaches and construction activities slow down, I will focus on the MS4 report and the Inland Wetlands Commission regulation amendments. Under inspections and follow-up actions regarding numbers 117 and 119 and 0 New Road, which I reported on last month. That was that intermittent water course that's near the running through a gentleman's property that has horses, that goes to the neighboring property to the objection of the neighbor, and then on its way to New Road and going towards the 5 Mile River. So I'm still investigating the conditions and collecting evidence when the conditions of the intermittent water course were created at 0 New Road, and what, if any, work occurred in the upland review area for 117 New Road. I've recently had a conversation with an engineer who has been asked to look into the matter. for the property owner of 117 New Road, and he has indicated that he has photographs of what the conditions on 0 New Road were prior to the construction of the house at 117. So that will be useful, and I'm waiting for those to come in. I reviewed 11 building permits. Under miscellaneous, I submitted an article for the September 2022 Selectmen's Update entitled "Why Wetlands and Watercourses Are Regulated and How You Can Help." And I made another pitch for getting a commission, people to volunteer to be on the commission. CACUIC, that's the Connecticut Association of Conservation and then the Wetlands Commissions, sent me an email several months ago regarding renewing the membership. And you can see that on the renewal is on page 49 of the Zoom documents. George, if you go to that. So the Conservation Commission and the Inland Wetlands Commission has historically joined together, so we only pay each $60. The Conservation Commission has already authorized that expenditure, and I need to get the expenditure from the Inland Wetlands Commission authorized $60 for the CACUIC membership. So if you could give me a vote.
Give a motion to
authorize
$60 for the CACUIC membership.
This is I
Yes.
make a motion that we authorize $60.
I have a motion to authorize $60 to support the membership, but do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, the motion made and seconded to authorize $60 expenditure in support of CACUIC in concert with the Conservation Commission. Any discussion?
This is this thing we do every year anyway, right, Marla?
Yes, and it's my understanding that this year CACUIC will be holding an annual meeting. It's their, I believe it's their 50th year
What day?
of an organization. They were created back in the 70s, 72, I guess.
When was it? When is the meeting? I went to one of them.
I don't, Dan, do you know what the meeting date is?
Offhand, I believe it's in
don't.
October. I can forward that to you before you head out of town and or get it around to members. But I believe it's the 45th anniversary or 45th conference, 50th anniversary of CACUIC.
So if you go to CACUIC's website, you'll be able to find, they have information on there. All you have to do is Google CACIWC and you should get their website. And normally they used to have them in November, usually like the second week in November. So it would be earlier if it's in October this year.
Trapped.
But you get a discount rate if you're a member. So if you decide to go.
Great. I think I went to one.
It does quarterly newsletters. They come from there, don't they?
You're talking about the Habitat?
Yeah.
That was their newsletter. And given the fact that DEEP only has one staff person dedicated to wetlands, and that's Darcy Winther, and she always assisted them in getting that document produced. So if they're producing them, I'm guessing they're only producing them electronically. I haven't been on their website. All of their historic ones are on their website. So you can go to their website to see. They usually have good information. There's usually an article by Janet Brooks, who is an attorney, who gives some really good information about advice and recent court cases. And then they a lot of times will have articles on various species, that kind of thing. So it's something worth looking at if you have some spare time and want to do a peruse through their website.
Great. Well, the URL is right there in the on the documents. You need to only click it and it'll bring it to the website. Thank you. So we have a motion made and seconded to authorize $60 to support the funding of CACUIC and in concert with the Conservation Commission. And Any further discussion? Okay, hearing, Mr. Mallow, do you have a question? You're muted.
That the Habitat newsletter is back in production. There was on hiatus, but they no longer print a copy and send it to agencies anymore. It can be found on the Habitat website.
I think it's the way of the future. All my magazines come in on my, Kindle or something here. All right, thank you,
Okay,
Dan. All right, so let's have any further discussion on this question. Okay, hearing none. Go ahead, Mr. Obert.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Kakiewicz website for events and it says no conferences at this time. So I don't know where to get that information.
I got the information from Darcy Winter. She was the one who told me that they were working on a conference. And that was several months ago. So maybe something happened and they decided not to hold it.
Or they didn't
If-
update their website.
Could be. That's a lot of the websites are like that, I think we've seen that happen. Where people just have been on ice for a while. Okay.
Yeah. Aye.
So, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Let's have a vote. Commissioner Ober, are you in favor of this expenditure?
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Morano,
Yes,
and I for myself, Commissioner O'Neill. So all the commissioners are in favor, no opposed. The expenditure of $60 to support Kakiewicz, as outlined in our earlier discussion, has been approved without objection. Okay, moving on to the next item. Oof.
Oh, nope, not yet. I'm not done.
not done. Oh, I'm sorry.
Finish
that's
under
right,
miscellaneous.
Ms. Lane, go ahead.
Fort Hill Farms, I got an inquiry regarding Fort Hill Farms robotic milking barn that they're going to build. And that's on September 7th, Janet Blanchett of J&D Civil Engineers LLC requested via email that the construction of the proposed barn was a quote use permitted as of right and that an wetlands agent approval application wouldn't be necessary. I emailed her back the next day. I responded via email saying a copy of, and with a copy to the zoning enforcement officer, because I guess this is going before her, that the construction of the new barn does not involve any regulated activity under the Thompson Inland Wetlands and Watercourses regulations based upon the wetlands delineations that I found on plans that were forwarded to the Inland Wetlands Commission for declaratory ruling DEC 17013 for the construction of the aerobic digester located just south of the proposed barn. When they submitted that request for the aerobic digester, they showed the proposed location of the robotic barn that was going to be coming in. So there was no need for them to have to do anything else. And then lastly, there have been a number of purchase orders that have been paid for, and they are all for legal notices. Legal notices are getting expensive. The cheapest legal notice that I have is $58.80.
Wow.
And yeah, and that was for two, Jason LaValle's at one of his applications and Shippey's application. And then they're going to get more and more expensive. So that's going to have to be reflected in the fee schedule when we work on the regs revisions. And also I've encumbered the $200 for the metal storage cabinet that Dan and I have had. Dan's done most of the work finding possible options, and we've settled on an option, but we're going to wait until I come back to the office in October to make that purchase, because we're going to need to reorganize the office to get that to fit in right.
Great.
And that's it.
Thank you, Mala. Any questions for Mala regarding your report that haven't been raised already? One thought that came to mind was, well, I'll cover in Commissioner's comments. All right, thank you. Moving on to the next item is the signing of Mylars. We have two of them, so I guess I'll stop. Do we have to read? There's a 2-lot ready subdivision plan, map 3, block 80, lot 2D, developers lot 1, Donovan Drive, Thompson, Connecticut, dated June 27, 2022, prepared by JD Civil Engineers LLC, 4 sheets approved under wetlands permit IWA 22020, and there's Also, a 4-lot re-subdivision plan, map 3, block 80, lots 2T, 2U, 2W, developers lots 17, 18, 20, Donovan Drive, Thompson, dated June 27th, 2022. Cleared by J&D Civil Engineering, LLC, 4 sheets approved under conceptual subdivision approval of SUB 22019. So those are the items. Now we have comments by commissioners. Commissioners, any comments? I don't see any yet, but I do have one. I keep wondering, given the high cost of print publishing and the transition I see in so many different areas, not just in the business I work in, we have everyone's shifting over to communications, digital communications and platforms and blogs and email distributions and things like that. Public forums, I keep wondering aloud if perhaps a platform for the town could be utilized as the official public website of record. Just we have a news media of record and to publish these things, which could certainly reduce the cost substantially. Now, maybe that's a aspirational goal, but something that may happen, I hope, sometime in the future.
You need to talk to your legislators because it's in the statute that it has to be published in a newspaper having general circulation.
I know.
So until the law gets changed, you're not going to be able to do it in another way. Why, certainly you could post them on the website,
I know.
but that's not meeting the statutory requirements.
Right. So the statute, I think it, as you point out, thankfully, the statutory approach, but given the cost of hard, paper, maybe there's some way that ultimately that will evolve. And I don't know where the proper forum for that is, but I certainly could look into avenues to do that, because you save not just our little town, but hundreds of other towns in the state of Connecticut and thousands of other towns, extensive amounts. I mean, today in commercial real estate, nobody sits down at a closing table anymore. It's all done digitally with certified signatures and remote documents. So it saves a lot of money for everybody and time. All right, that's my comment. Commissioner Ober, do you have a question? Any comments?
Oh, 1,000 things, but I try to be polite and not speak out of turn, and then I forget.
Yeah, there was something. What was it we were going to talk about? It came up earlier, recall?
Commerce. But that's, you and I got to get together and have a glass of single malt and talk about commerce.
Commerce, yeah. But there was something else that came up during the citizens' comments, and the thing is, it's not a Q&A unless we create a Q&A section, right? So I know you had something you wanted to comment.
What she said was correct, but I think it was out of date. I think that's what I was going to say, is that there's been an update on that, but I don't remember the details now.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you up, but I just try to, otherwise.
Yeah, I understand. There's a time for things, but I do believe that we could play back the tape and then I would remember, but otherwise, no.
Okay.
Were you suggesting the town have its own server? It sounded like you were talking about records and things being put where they were more accessible.
Yeah, that's perhaps a discussion for another forum, but
yeah, but I think that's also something we were talking about before you joined us.
Right. I mean, that would make it a lot cheaper for all this stuff, and rather than having it, a cloud approach, having it in the cloud and accessible for everyone that needs it, rather than trying to go to the person that has it. And it's a larger discussion, but it's like everything else. I know when I first moved to this town, there was no website.
10 years from now, if we're all still alive, it'll be commonplace.
I'm going to be here, so you guys count on that. But not to delay this further, it's the hour comes to a close.
Good night. I move to adjourn.
I hear a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. The ayes have it. The meeting is concluded at 7:59 p.m. on September 13th, 2022. Thank you, everyone.